Interestingly, for somebody who has won countless fell races and multi-dayers like the Dragon's Back race, this is the first race that you specifically trained for with the help of a coach, Damien Hall. So how did the spine race preparation differ from your usual training or not training?
So I guess I guess one thing I should point out is that I think before you have a child, you have a lot more time to run. And after I had Rowan, once I'd gone back to work after maternity leave, the sort of time I have to train is much less than it used to be. So I'm sort of aware that now it has to be better quality maybe and less quantity. So whereas maybe before I could get away with doing stuff that didn't really matter what I did because I did quite a lot of it, I can't really get away with that anymore. So that's the first thing to say. But basically before, I guess I used to just go out running and have fun, which I still do. But I never, looking back, probably most of my runs were really what I would now call an easy recovery run. So I could still chat to people and just jog along. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that. But I do think that if you train and put some intensity into some workouts, then you do get better. So basically when Damien was coaching me, we probably every other day was a harder session. So that might be either a speed session or maybe something just fartlek or a progression run, or some hill reps, something like that. And then at weekends that we do longer runs, usually back to back and carrying a pack because I had to get used to a pack. So that's kind of a brief summary.
Yeah, and I sort of tried to work it out because you were doing 1.5 hours during the week and then kind of 10 hours over the weekend, so like about 7.5 hours a week, which is a lot to fit. Sorry, not 7.5, 17.5 hours sleep. Bit of number dyslexia there. Does that sound about right? 17.5? Yeah,
probably like the workouts during the week were maximum 1.5 hours. I would say they weren't all that. So somewhere, because if you were just doing maybe even just a 6 mile recovery run, that would probably take me less than an hour. So somewhere between an hour and an hour and a half. But yeah, you're right. So probably maybe 15 to 17 hours a week. Yeah.
Wow, that's so impressive with a young child. I've got a couple of questions from patrons about how you fitted it all in, especially you said over New Year you did 3 back-to-back 5 to 6 hour days, which is amazing. So Gordon Parton says, how does Jasmin fit in training with family life and little ones? I always struggle to find the time.
Yeah, so firstly, I would say I'm very fortunate to have a very supportive family. Both my parents and also Conrad's parents, really, they're wonderful, very supportive. And also my husband, Conrad, because he's a runner as well. So we do have to kind of balance that and both get out to train. So that helps. Over New Year, basically, we were on holiday in Germany with Conrad's parents. So they were doing a lot of looking after, and they were enjoying that. So that's how I got away. But basically, all of my running took place at 5 a.m. So even at weekends, I was back by 10 or 11. And if Rowan was asleep till 8 a.m., then that was already quite a big chunk of that while she was asleep. So basically, I fitted it in by doing quite a lot of it in the early morning while the rest of my family was still in bed. And I think if you really want to do something, you do get more efficient about fitting in everything else around it, and also I always find that if you get up early in the morning and run, then it's got more chance of happening that way. If I leave it till later in the day, and it won't happen. So because other things take over, work and family life and everything else. But in the morning, when everybody's still asleep, then you're going to get out the door and do it. So that's the time to go.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Really, really good if you can get out of bed, which I really find difficult. So that sort of answers the next question from patrons, which I have, which is from Anna Rugg, who she's currently training for a 145 mile race, the Grand Union Canal race in May. And she wants to know if you ever had like any element of guilt when you went out training for hours and days, and like how do you balance that in your head? But it sounds like the early mornings is the answer to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a big reason why, obviously during the week I had to get up early in the morning to train because of work, but at weekends it was really just because I still wanted to have a weekend with my family. I didn't want to spend my weekends just be running. So in the majority of cases I was back, as I say, in time to just have a normal day. We did do other things. For example, sometimes I would do a long run that ended at the park run, our local park run. Yeah. I would meet my family there, and then I would run the 5k pushing the buggy while Conrad raced, for example, and then we would all go home together. we also did quite a lot of sort of hiking as a family together in the hills, and I find that hiking is very good training for long distance races, because you actually spend in the hills, in long distance hill races, you spend a reasonable amount of time walking because you don't run up all the hills. So I think hiking is a good training, especially if you're carrying a baby that already weighs sort of 12 kilos or whatever it was she weighs. So so that was that's kind of how I fitted it in. But I really tried to make sure that my family didn't, also because I wanted to spend the time with them, but I didn't want them to kind of suffer for the fact that I was training.